At my wedding, my sister dumped wine on my dress and mocked me for finally getting attention. Mom just laughed it off, so I kicked her out and cut off the shared payments. Next morning, her tuition vanished and Mom called me panicking it happened at my wedding, the moment my entire family finally saw who my sister really was. One second, I was laughing with my best friend under a canopy of string lights. The next, a cold splash ran down my back. I looked down, and my pale gold wedding dress, the one I saved for 2 years to afford, was bleeding red wine. When I turned, she was standing there. Sabrina, holding the glass tilted just enough for a final drop to fall. She smiled, slow, smug, like it was all part of a joke everyone else was too uptight to get. Then she said, "Guess you finally got your moment, huh, Ellie?" The whole garden went silent. I could hear the clink of someone's fork hitting a plate. My mother's voice cut through the quiet. "She's joking, Elle." Then she laughed. That laugh did something to me. It burned straight through the part of me that still wanted to believe my mom could ever protect me from Sabrina. I didn't scream. I didn't even cry. I just walked over, met Sabrina's eyes, and said quietly, "Get out." She blinked, confused, like she couldn't process that I wasn't playing her game this time. Mom stood, her voice rising. "Eleanor, stop making a scene." I turned to her and said, "Then you can leave with her." And that's when the sound came. The slap. It wasn't me. It was my grandmother, quiet, soft-spoken Nana Grace, the same woman who still knits scarves for everyone at Christmas. She stood, walked straight up to Sabrina, and slapped her so hard it echoed. "You're a disgrace," she said, then calmly sat back down. Sabrina's mouth fell open. She looked around, waiting for anyone to defend her. No one moved. My stepfather stared at the floor. The music stopped. The sunset that had painted everything gold now just made her red dress look like fire. Then she stormed off, knocking over an entire tray of champagne as she went. My mother followed close behind, whispering frantically. The guests started murmuring again. The band tried to recover, but it was useless. The air had shifted. That night, when James and I finally got to the hotel, I sat down, opened my banking app, and started closing things. The shared card, the rent transfer, the tuition fund, the emergency payments, all of it. By 8:40 the next morning, the notification came through. Account closed. At 8:43, my phone lit up again, my mom's number flashing. Her voice was shaking. "What did you do to your sister? She can't access her account. She's stranded." That was the moment I knew it wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Sabrina was going to do something. I just didn't know when or how far she'd go. Sabrina was born 3 years after me, but it always felt like I was the afterthought and she was the headline. Even as kids, she had this magnetic pull. People orbiting around her like she carried her own gravity. I was quieter, the responsible one, the one mom could rely on to clean up the mess after Sabrina's charm wore off. When we were little, I used to think being the responsible one made me stronger. But really, it just made me useful. By middle school, the pattern was set. Sabrina broke rules, I made excuses. She cried, I fixed it. She lied, I covered it. And Mom, she called it sisterly love. I should have known better by the time we hit high school. But the truth is, I wanted her approval. Everyone did. She could make you feel like the only person who mattered one second and invisible the next. When I got into college on a scholarship, Sabrina posted a long caption on Instagram about how our family was finally doing something worth celebrating. Not me, our family. 2 months later, she crashed her car, drunk, and Mom asked me to loan her my savings for the deductible. Just until her insurance clears. It never did. Then came James, my husband now. He met Sabrina once, at a family cookout, and told me after, "She's intense." That was putting it mildly. The first time I caught her crossing a line was when she texted him after midnight, asking for his opinion on a guy problem. When I confronted her, she laughed. "You're overreacting. God, not everything's about you, Elle." But it always was. When I got engaged, she didn't even pretend to be happy. She rolled her eyes at the proposal pictures and said, "Wow, James really went for the safe choice, huh?" Still, I asked her to be my maid of honor. Because I was tired of fighting. Because I wanted peace. Because some part of me still believed she'd change. The months before the wedding were tense but quiet. Too quiet. She didn't argue, didn't gossip, didn't pull her usual stunts. I should have known she was saving it. Mom was the same, pretending everything was fine, saying, "You two will make up before the wedding, you always do." Except this time, I wasn't planning to. 2 nights before the ceremony, I found out she'd missed the fitting for her bridesmaid dress. When I called, she said she was busy. I let it go. I had bigger things to focus on. But looking back, it wasn't laziness. It was strategy. She wanted the attention, even if it came from chaos. And on my wedding day, when I saw her sitting in the front row, calm, polite, composed, I actually felt relief. That feeling lasted about 6 hours. Because when the wine hit my back, I realized something: Sabrina didn't want peace. She wanted control, and for the first time, I'd taken it away from her. She wasn't going to forgive that, not ever. The morning after the wedding, my phone started buzzing nonstop. At first, I thought it was congratulations messages. It wasn't, it was panic. Sabrina's accounts were locked, her rent payment bounced, her meal plan card was declined, and she was stranded outside her dorm with her duffel bag on the sidewalk. By 9 a.m., she'd posted about it. A selfie, crying, mascara-streaked, captioned, "My sister thinks starving me is funny. I'm literally locked out of my own life." And just like that, our family group chat blew up. Mom jumped in first, typing in all caps. "ELLIE, what did you do? She has nothing." Then came the guilt bombs: how I was heartless, how I embarrassed the family, how Sabrina made a mistake and you're trying to destroy her for it. But this time, something was different. Dad's side of the family didn't buy it. My cousin Renee replied with a single question: "Didn't she pour wine on your wedding dress?" That shut the chat down fast. An hour later, I posted one photo. My wedding dress laid out on the hotel floor, the crimson stains spreading across the lace. No caption, just that. Within minutes, my notifications exploded again, but not from family this time. From social media. Guests had posted clips from the wedding. The video was spreading. Sabrina dumping the wine, smirking, saying, "Guess you finally got your spotlight." And then Nana Grace's slap echoing through the garden. By noon, people online were calling it the wedding slap heard round the internet. Sabrina tried damage control, claiming it was a joke gone wrong. Said she accidentally tripped. Nobody believed her. But that didn't stop her from trying to twist it. She messaged me privately, saying, "You're making me look like a monster." I didn't respond. That silence, that's what got to her. She wasn't used to losing control of the narrative. By the next morning, I got a text from Marcus, James's cousin who works in banking. He said he needed to flag something urgent. Apparently, a few weeks before the wedding, Sabrina had submitted a loan application for $12,000 and listed me as her co-signer. Without telling me, she'd forged my signature, my birth date, my address, everything. Marcus caught it before it processed. He said he thought it was an oversight. It wasn't. It was a trap. She was counting on me staying entangled in her finances so I could never really cut her off. I froze my credit that night, filed a fraud alert. Then I sat on the edge of the hotel bed, staring at the ruined wedding dress draped over the chair, and I realized something brutal. That wasn't just a tantrum at my wedding. It was a warning. Sabrina didn't just want to ruin the day, she wanted to remind me who she thought I belonged to. And now that I'd taken that away, she was going to find another way to get it back. I just didn't know yet how dark she'd go to do it. It started with a phone call I didn't recognize, a blocked number, 3 rings, then voicemail. The third time I answered, it was her. Sabrina's voice, low, ragged, the kind of crying that sounds half real, half performance. She said she was sorry, said she didn't mean to ruin my dress, that it just slipped. I didn't speak. I let her talk. Then she said, "You don't understand, Elle, I'm homeless. I can't get into my dorm, my card doesn't work, and now the bank says they're reviewing my tuition payment. I'll get kicked out." Her voice cracked. And for half a second, I almost felt bad. Until she said, "If you fix this, I'll make things right. I'll post that it was a misunderstanding." There it was, the deal, the manipulation, the same pattern wrapped in new desperation. I told her the truth. "Nothing slipped, Sabrina. You've been doing this for years. I just stopped cleaning it up." Silence. Then, "Are you seriously going to let your sister get evicted?" "I'm not letting anything happen," I said. "You built this, you can live in it." Then I hung up. That night, James and I had dinner with Nana Grace. She didn't ask about the drama. Just stirred her tea and said, "Some people only learn gratitude when they choke on the absence of it." 2 days later, I got an email from Sabrina's landlord. Her rent bounced again. She had 5 days before eviction. I didn't reply. The next morning, her car insurance payment failed. Policy suspended. Then her phone service cut out. Then her campus email was flagged for financial noncompliance. Within 48 hours, her whole world started collapsing. But the real shock came a day later when Marcus from the bank called again. He sounded hesitant, said the forged loan was just the beginning. There had been 2 applications. The second one had gone through. She'd used my name again and got approved for a smaller personal loan that had already paid out into her checking account the week before my wedding. She'd taken $4,500. When I told James, he froze. Then said, "You know this is criminal, right?" I filed a police report the next morning. Fraud, identity theft, financial misrepresentation, the works. Part of me felt sick doing it. The other part felt free. That evening, I got a message request on Instagram from a fake account. No profile picture, just one message. "You think you've won? You don't even know what I can do yet." I knew it was her, and I was right. Because 3 days later, I found out she'd gone after someone else. Someone I never thought she'd dare touch. James. James called me from work at 11:26 a.m. His voice was flat, too calm to be okay. "Ellie," he said, "someone just filed a complaint against me." My heart dropped. He worked for a healthcare tech firm, private, strict policies, zero-tolerance rules. Complaints weren't gossip material. They were investigations. "What kind of complaint?" I asked. "Anonymous," he said, "claiming I've been emotionally abusive to my spouse, that HR should look into my private conduct before it reaches the company." I froze. That wasn't random. It was targeted. He told me they'd already traced the IP address through a proxy. And the original source? My mother's house. Sabrina hadn't just dragged our fight into public, she dragged Mom into it too. It wasn't enough to humiliate me. She wanted to destroy my marriage. I felt something in me switch that day. The guilt, the hesitation, gone. I wasn't going to let her burn another piece of my life. That afternoon, I made 2 calls. One to a lawyer, one to my dad. The lawyer, a woman named Harper, didn't waste time. "Document everything," she said. "Every message, every account closure, every forged loan. We'll issue a cease and desist first. If she keeps going, we press charges." Then my dad, the man who'd stayed mostly silent through years of chaos, picked up on the second ring. I told him everything. The fraud, the forged loans, the fake abuse claim. He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "Ellie, I should have protected you from this a long time ago. You've been cleaning up their mess for 20 years. You don't owe them another second." It was the first time anyone in my family had said that out loud. That night, I opened my laptop and started building my own plan. Not revenge. Not really, just reversal. I pulled bank statements, screenshots, copies of every forged document, the fake IP address complaint, even her texts. I organized everything into folders. I made a list of every account she'd ever used my name for insurance, student housing, phone plans, and systematically cut every tie. Then I drafted the first email of my life that felt like power. 2. Registrar's Office, Financial Aid Department subject. Formal report of fraudulent activity, student ID 4226. I'm reporting that my identity was used without consent by student Sabrina Knox. I attached the proof. Signed it, hit send, and then I waited. James didn't talk much that night. He sat on the couch staring at the wall. "She's escalating," he said quietly, "and she's dragging your mom with her." He was right. Because at 2:14 a.m., I got a text from a new number. "You think this is over. If I'm going down, you're coming with me." But what she didn't know, what she couldn't know, was that I'd already built something she couldn't stop. By morning, 3 institutions had acknowledged my fraud claim. By noon, the bank froze her account. By 4 p.m., I got the email that would end everything. Sabrina's university had scheduled a disciplinary hearing. The same system she'd manipulated for years was about to turn on her. And I wasn't done yet, because I was about to expose something she never expected me to find. Something buried deep in her past. Something that would finally explain why she'd spent her life trying to ruin mine. It was late, nearly midnight, when my phone buzzed again. A message from an unknown number. At first, I thought it was another one of Sabrina's burner accounts, but this time it was a name I hadn't seen in years. Evan Miller, her ex. He wrote, "Hey, I saw the wedding video online. I know it's not my place, but you should probably know what she did with your name." My stomach dropped. He told me that 2 years ago, Sabrina had borrowed $600 from him, claimed it was for books and tuition. Said her responsible sister would transfer it for her because her own Venmo was frozen. So he sent the money to me. I didn't even notice the deposit at the time. It was buried among grocery transfers and bill splits. But she'd used my name to borrow money from her boyfriend, lied to him, used me to do it, and then it clicked. This wasn't the first time she'd done it. Evan's message opened a door I didn't know existed. I started digging. Pulled up old statements, Venmo logs, PayPal records. And there it was, more charges, dozens of them. Random refunds from people I didn't know. Tiny amounts, $20 here, $50 there. She'd been running scams using my name. Small ones, just under the radar. Pretending to sell textbooks, furniture, even pet supplies. Using my identity as the return account so she'd look clean when people tried to report it. My sister was running low-level fraud rings using me as the front. It wasn't carelessness. It was calculation. I stared at the computer screen until my eyes burned. This wasn't just about jealousy. This was sabotage. And it went way further than I'd realized. Because when I looked closer, I found something worse. One of the PayPal transactions had a note attached. It said, "Thanks, Ellie. Hope the wedding fund helps." It was from one of my old college friends, Tasha. Except I never asked Tasha for money. Sabrina did. She'd messaged her pretending to be me, saying I was struggling to cover wedding costs and too embarrassed to ask family. She stole from my friends in my name to pay for the dress she ruined. That was the moment everything snapped into focus. She wasn't just trying to hurt me out of impulse. She was dismantling me, piece by piece, until I didn't have credibility left. James came into the room while I was still staring at the laptop. He read the screen, said nothing for a long minute, then asked quietly, "How long do you think she's been planning this?" "Years," I said. "Probably since we were kids." The next day, the lawyer sent me a draft of the cease and desist, but I asked her to hold off, because something told me Sabrina wasn't done. And I needed her to show her whole hand before I ended this for good. That night, I couldn't sleep. At 3:17 a.m., I got one final text from her. "You always thought you were better than me. Let's see what happens when everyone finds out what really happened when we were kids." That line made my blood run cold, because I didn't know what she meant, and part of me didn't want to. But the next day, I found out. And it changed everything I thought I knew about our family and about her. The next morning started like any other, quiet, gray, deceptively normal, until I got the call. It was from my dad. His voice was heavy, like he'd been waiting years to say what came next. "Ellie," he said, "there's something you don't know about Sabrina, about your mom." I braced myself. "What?" He took a long breath. "She's not just jealous of you, she's terrified of you." I didn't understand. Then he told me the truth, something he'd sworn to stay silent about during the divorce. When Mom was pregnant with Sabrina, she'd had complications. Doctors warned her she might lose the baby. The stress broke her. She became obsessed with keeping Sabrina alive, calling her the miracle child. But that obsession twisted into something else, something darker. When I was 8 and Sabrina was 5, there was an accident I was told to forget. I fell down the stairs, broke my wrist, and lost 2 teeth. Everyone said I tripped over my shoes. Dad said that wasn't true. Mom had caught Sabrina pushing me hard after I got praised at a school recital. Sabrina stood at the top of the stairs, watching, not crying, not sorry, just watching. Mom told Dad it was an accident, but later that night, she confessed she'd seen Sabrina smile. "She smiled, Ellie," Dad whispered. "And your mother decided she'd never let anyone see it again, so she buried it, protected her. Let you take the blame for everything because it was easier than admitting what she'd raised." The blood drained from my face. He went on. "You didn't imagine it all. She's been doing this since she was a child, turning everything upside down just to feel in control. Your mom covered for her every time. That's why she kept defending her now, because if the truth ever came out, it wouldn't just destroy Sabrina. It'd destroy her too." For a long time, I didn't say anything. My childhood memories came rushing back. The times I'd been punished for things I didn't do. The missing jewelry that always turned up in my backpack. The teachers who believed Sabrina's tears over my explanations. It all made sense. This wasn't just about a ruined wedding. It was decades of silent warfare. And suddenly, I understood why she was unraveling so fast. For her entire life, Sabrina believed Mom would always protect her, no matter what. That she could break anything, anyone, and Mom would clean up the pieces. But the night of the wedding, when Nana slapped her and no one came to her defense, that illusion shattered. She wasn't just losing control of me, she was losing her entire identity. Her miracle child title was gone, and without it, she had nothing left to hold on to. That's why she'd gone scorched earth. Why she forged loans, lied, framed James. Because she wasn't fighting for attention anymore. She was fighting for survival. When Dad finished, he said, "You can't fix her, Ellie. You never could. You were just the placeholder for her guilt." And in that moment, something inside me went cold. Because I finally understood what I had to do next. I wasn't going to save her. I was going to finish it. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat at the kitchen table, staring at the piles of evidence, forged signatures, screenshots, messages, the fake complaint, everything. It looked less like family drama and more like a case file. And that's exactly what I was about to make it. By dawn, I sent every piece of it to my lawyer, Harper. She didn't even blink. "This is more than enough," she said. "We'll move forward." That morning, Harper filed formal charges for identity theft and fraud. The hearing at the university was the same day. Sabrina didn't know it yet, but she was about to lose everything she'd used to define herself. At 2:15 p.m., she walked into that campus office still in her old designer coat, the one I bought her 3 Christmases ago. When she saw me sitting there with Harper, she froze. Her eyes darted everywhere toward the door, the staff, anyone who might give her an escape route. There wasn't one. The board went through the evidence piece by piece. The forged cosigner forms, the PayPal scams, the fake wedding fund, even the fraudulent complaint traced to Mom's house. She tried denying it at first, then crying, then claiming it was all a setup. But every time she spoke, another document hit the table. When the chairwoman finally said, "Miss Knox, this constitutes academic fraud and federal identity misuse. You are hereby expelled," the room fell silent. Sabrina didn't look at me right away. But when she finally did, I saw it, not anger, not hatred. Recognition. She knew it was over. Outside, she tried to talk to me, said she wanted to start over. Said she understood now. But I just told her what I'd rehearsed all night. "I forgive you, but you don't get to rewrite what you did." She nodded, eyes wet, but it wasn't the kind of crying that came from remorse. It was loss, the kind of loss that happens when someone finally realizes their power doesn't work anymore. A week later, I got a letter in the mail. Handwritten. Inside was a check for $600, the money she'd taken from Evan years ago. No note, just one sentence scrawled across the envelope. "I'm starting with what I owe. I didn't cash it. I framed it. Not as forgiveness, but as proof. Proof that I'd survived her, and that she finally knew she couldn't touch me anymore." Mom hasn't spoken to me since the hearing. She's still trying to convince herself it's all a misunderstanding. But the silence doesn't bother me. I've learned that sometimes peace isn't quiet, it's just distance. Sabrina disappeared from social media soon after. Last I heard, she moved out of state. Maybe she's starting over. Maybe she's still blaming me. It doesn't matter. Because the day she ruined my wedding, I thought she stole my spotlight. But really, she handed me something better. Freedom. And in the end, that's what burned her most, the fact that she can't survive without an audience, and I finally learned to live without one.